I also wanted to ask you about the free trade agreement, the sort of chimera on the horizon between India and Australia. It was something that the previous Australian Prime Minister actually committed to. But now we see not only that it's not working out, but the kind of this insistence on India opening up its markets to Australian agri-produce as being a kind of stumbling block. Is there something more you could share with us about where the FTA actually stands, if there's at all a likelihood of it coming through?
Look, I'm very sure that we will conclude a free trade agreement. We call it a CECA, the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. Negotiations have moved ahead quite quickly in the last couple of years, and we are now at the most complicated part of the negotiation. That's natural at this stage. Why it's complex is because we're at the point where each side is looking for something from the other that is important to them and their own interests in the market. For Australia, it's not just agriculture, it's also services, it's also investment, it's across the whole gamut. And for India, India has a whole range of things that India is looking for, including access to the labour market in Australia. Now, those things for both sides are difficult to agree to, but important to agree to, or to come to some agreement so that we can conclude an agreement that each side feels that they get something out of and that genuinely boosts trade. Finding our way to a point of agreement on that is going to be a slow but careful process. And I think what I was happy to see was the two Prime Ministers reaffirming their continuing interest in pursuing the free trade agreement and making a commitment that negotiators would continue their talks. So Australian negotiators are now planning to come to India in the next few weeks off the back of that and to see whether we can take that forward. Right,
so you don't see the 457 episode as impacting the FTA negotiations in any sense?
Well, I think I've already addressed that in the sense that the 457 it's a review and a change in the style of the visa and the application of the visa, but in practice I think the impact will not be, for Indians at least, at this highly skilled level, will not be all that great.
One of your predecessors, Peter Verghese, when he came to Idea Exchange some years ago, the same format, he said something that struck many of us here, that Australian airports are, especially Sydney Airport, is one of the most multiracial, multicultural airports in the world. Just, he was giving an example of how multi-ethnic, multiracial the society Australia is. Now, when your Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, was talking about the 457 program and changes being made, he talked about a phrase which has been, a similar phrase which has been used in the US, Australia first. So, do you think that jars and jeopardizes the multi-ethnic, multiracial society that Australia has, and therefore it attracts a lot of talent from across the globe, nationals coming in for work, for living? You are a shining example of that. Do you think that this concept of Australia first will affect the brand that Australia has built over the last several decades?
My answer is I don't think it will affect it, and I'll explain why. When the Prime Minister made the point about when he did his press conference on the 457 visa, he actually prefaced it with Australia is one of the most successful multicultural societies in the world, and that's true. We have people from over 120 backgrounds. Nearly half of all Australians were either born overseas or have one parent who was born overseas. So half of all Australians are first or second generation migrants. That's a huge proportion in any country. With respect to Indian workers who have come to Australia, by and large, they have contributed enormously to the creativity, success of our economy. And there is no intention on our part to close them out or to lock them out, which is why I keep saying we continue to have a temporary worker program under our visa program. And what we've been doing is reviewing that. So please don't confuse the language around the 457 visa with the end to that program. That continues because we value that quite a lot. And so there's no distinction between those two things, but it is entirely reasonable for any government to put the interests of their people first. And by putting Australians first, he means all multicultural, multi-ethnic Australians, as well as Australians of, you know, the traditional Anglo-Saxon background. So all Australians, and any government has an obligation to their own people first. But that's not to say that we're shutting the door. We've had a very successful migration program to Australia for many decades now. We add something like about 2% to our population every year just by migration, and that's quite a significant thing. Australia is a welcoming country.